When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Welcome to another episode of Touchy Gooners. It's your host Lewis. I've swallowed a couple steroid tablets. I sound like a real man today, you know. Nah, I'm playing with you, lot, man. It's Shabs. You got me hosting for today. So I'm here with a couple of the usual suspects. I'm here with Seun.
What's going on, bro?
Yeah, good. I'm here with Joe Blacks. How you doing, Blacks?
Yo, what's happening?
Good, yeah, good, man. And I'm here with Rilwan.
Yo, what's going on, people?
Yeah, good, man. All regulars, yeah. So yeah, man, there's a lot to get into. It's Wednesday night, so as we record, the Arsenal game has just finished. We've just played City, so there are a couple things to get into. Just before I get into them, don't forget to take us in on YouTube. You know, Touchy Gooners is there, Touchline Fracas is there on YouTube as well. So make sure you check that out. Don't forget that. We're also on the Discord server as well. So if anyone hasn't signed up to a Discord server as well, make sure you do. We're on there. There's actually so many different channels, and before this evening's game, I was actually on there. We had a bit of a live chat. It was a different experience, but it was actually a lot of fun. I could see a lot of you lot engaging there as well so far. So big shouts to you lot. But yeah, man, make sure you check that out as well. And the usuals as well on Insta and Twitter as well. So make sure you're plugged in and connected to get all the latest from what's happening in the touchline world. But yeah, man, I suppose I just want to get straight into it today and talk about the game, because me personally, I don't really know how I feel. I'm not vexed. It's a little bit disappointed, but I'm not angry. But it's a bit more of the same. But I suppose I want to start with the lineup and the team selection, and kind of hear what you lot's thoughts were on the team selection, because there were some, I suppose, a couple big misses. The notable ones was Ozil from the squad. He didn't make the squad at all, and I suppose David Luiz didn't start. Pepe didn't start, and there were a few surprise selections to the starting lineup. So I think I'm going to start with you, Rilwan, and just hear from you what your thoughts were on the starting lineup.
Not really much surprise, to be fair. No, to be fair, Mari was a surprise. I didn't expect him to start. I thought David Luiz would start, but I wasn't too surprised when he dropped Ozil. Ozil's been a passenger in these games for quite a few years now. And even the positives that you believe he'll bring to the team, he doesn't really bring that to the team anymore. So I wasn't really surprised with that. The formation wasn't a surprise. He's been going with Nketiah over Lacazette for a while now.
For like the last, 2-3 games before we went into lockdown. So you started with him over okay.
Tobias not starting I was a bit surprised at, to be fair. But then again, it's to be fair, it's all shit anyway, and so it's like you're just picking from shit. So anything he picks, I'm not really going to be really surprised, because it's like you ain't really got much to work with anyway.
Okay. Joe Black, what did you think about the lineup and the players that were left out?
Surprised Ozil went in the squad. Obviously, I think he's always someone that you could look to maybe add a bit of creativity and penetrate the final third in games, even if it's off the bench. So I don't know why he weren't selected. Aubameyang, I'm still not sold on Aubameyang on the left. I can't get my head around it. I don't understand the logic around it.
He wasn't very effective today. No, to be fair, no one was. But he and
even going further to that, he's not effective on the left. That he's most effective through the middle, in my opinion. So I don't know I don't know whether it's accommodating in Nketiah or he's doing a job out there. I don't know. Defense, yeah, other than that, really, I think it's pretty much. You could have played Ceballos over Willock, but that's an either or. And yeah. Apart from that, it's pretty much. It's the best of what we've got in it.
Yeah. Which is crazy when you come to think about it. When you come to think about it, it's proper crazy. Seun, what do you think, man? What do you think, my guy? Obviously, I mean, like, you know, we have come back with in a better shape than how things were before, as far as the squad, the number of injuries throughout the squad and whatnot. But still, there is a sense that he could have done a bit better or a bit different with his squad selection. What would you have done, or what were things that surprised you about the lineup today, and what do you think he should have done?
No, I wasn't too surprised with a lot of decisions. For me, as big a fan as I've been of Ozil over his career, he's been washed for a while now, so it's not upsetting or surprising to me to see him left out. There's no sort of physical intensity to his game. He doesn't have any impact in these games, and he's away from home, so I wasn't really surprised. The Nketiah one doesn't surprise me either. He started 7 of the last 9 games under Arteta. So I think Arteta obviously won. He's very keen on him, and more often than not, he's got like 1 in 2 when he's played, isn't it? So I didn't really have any problems with that. Obviously, like Joe said, I would like to see Aubameyang through the middle. I think sometimes it limits him being out on the left, but at the same time, the problems around Aubameyang we all talk about his lack of ability to hold up. And I guess in a game where we're under a lot of pressure as well, maybe you want someone where the ball can stick a bit more in it. So. And also, he's still been scoring at a frequent rate from the left. So even despite the fact it's not his best position, he still does a decent job out there. So that wasn't really surprising because he's been used on the left hand in every single game, I'm assuming, under Arteta. So that's not a surprise. Who else played? So Ceballos, maybe people would have expected because he was playing a lot under Arteta before the game stopped. So that might have been one.
Why do you think Ceballos didn't start today?
He's okay, but one of the things with Shabs is that there's no gears to his game. He's very one pace. He plays at the same pace, and while he's a nice, tidy, secure player, there's no sort of any physical impact to his game. But that's systematic of the whole Arsenal team. I mean, in my opinion, we need a reset at centre back. We need a reset at centre midfield as well. The only person who who can run. In centre mid is Joe Willock, but Joe Willock has no tech. There's no real finesse to his game, so he runs till it hurts. But I mean, there's no sort of a finesse in the final third, in it. So it's kind of a mishmash of everything. To be honest, unfortunately, it's a very poor. I think it's just very indicative. It's a poor squad. We need. Actually, I'll tell you what. Saka was a surprise. I didn't expect him to start. I thought he would have started Nelson because Arteta loves Nelson. Pepe not starting is not a shock, even though he's my guy. He obviously, one of the things, he lacks any sort of physical intensity off the ball himself as well. He's not been working hard enough, and Bear managers have dropped him now. So as much as I like him, the guy's got to take a look at himself, in it. Do you know what I mean? If you keep getting dropped, like what's that saying about you? Do you know what I mean?
Say about you?
So you've got to have a look at yourself. So yeah.
Despite the break, this would have been one of Arsenal's biggest games of the season. Yeah, big game away to or against Manchester City at the Etihad. Points on the board. It's the run-in now because after this game we're going into the final 10 games of the season. When you think about no Ozil in the squad, it's a bigger bench as well, considering that relaxation of the rules because of COVID. So it's a bigger bench, but Ozil didn't make the squad. David Luiz didn't start. Ceballos didn't start the game, albeit he came on quite early in the game and played well. Lacazette didn't start, and Pepe didn't start. These are some of Arsenal's biggest players at the moment. These are some of their highest paid players. These are the players that you would, maybe not currently, but in terms of their names, you would look to them and think, yeah, these are the ones who should absolutely be starting games like this, who should be making a difference, who should be standing up and being counted for. It's it's just crazy for me, really, that a lot of these guys haven't started. I think I am a little bit surprised about Pepe. I mean, do you guys think that was fitness there, or Arteta not really fancying him? He hasn't done enough yet. Because that one I am a little bit surprised about. I can't lie.
Yeah, it's 3 managers now. It must be something in training. It must be something that we're not seeing. I don't know whether he's not responding to instructions, whether he's not actually training well. There has to be something, because the ability is there to a degree. But I mean, if 3 managers drop you, and then when you are played, you're still kind of wish-washy. You haven't actually like gone back in and staked your claim that, okay, yeah, like, I'm showing this manager that I have to start. It must be maybe an attitude issue. Like, I know everybody likes to talk about this, like this mythical attitude issue, but it might actually just be it. Because even though Arteta seems like he's trying to stamp his authority, I think there is ways to appease him, and I think the young players get that, and he appeals to the young players, and maybe it's that effort that where our senior players are lacking, and they have shown that they've lacked their whole entire Arsenal career, if we're being honest. One thing that I'd like to go back on is Ceballos. Ceballos has probably actually got the most bite out of our midfield 3. You know, I think maybe apart from Willock. I think he's actually, since Arteta's taken over, he's shown an increased intensity. He's shown a willingness to tackle, to track. So after Xhaka went off, I would have probably played him DM instead of playing Guendouzi there, because Guendouzi was just on an island. He couldn't keep his distances properly. He couldn't receive the ball from the centre backs and start the play. When you saw,
you think Ceballos would have been better utilised a bit deeper?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
When you saw Ceballos go to DM after Guendouzi had gone off, you saw that we were at least able to at least start the attack. Whereas when Guendouzi was there, we couldn't even start. It was non-existent.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk about the performance a little bit, because there were, I suppose, the performance to begin with felt a bit flat. Probably the effects of COVID. I've spoken about just like the what I anticipate the 3-month break having on football and the players is that we'll see games that start off as quite flat, and I think it's definitely going to take some time for players generally to build up their match fitness and their match levels. But the game didn't start as high intensity, as energetic from both sides, not just Arsenal, from City. Arsenal were quite even in terms of possession as well for the earlier spells of the first half, but then it started to slip away. We're quite unfortunate as well with Xhaka going off injured and Mari going off injured. So not so much them two as individual players of their performances, but the fact that we're forced into changing personnel quite early in the first half as well. And we kind of know what we saw directly what happened as a result of David Luiz coming on the pitch. But how do Arsenal go to Manchester City? How are Arsenal supposed to go to Manchester City and get a decent result? Or what are the types of things that you would have hoped to have seen today, and what didn't? Like, what was it that didn't allow, or where do you think it is that things went wrong as far as the performance?
You see, I wasn't too unhappy with the application, to be honest. I think first 35, even though obviously they still had the better of the game, we were competing well. We were applying ourselves. Rilwan made a good point about Arteta liking the youngsters, and I think he picked a lot of them because they will carry out his game plan better. So you talk about the intensity both on and off the ball. Maybe some of these seasoned, the more experienced, the better played guys, they're not doing that, and that's maybe why Arteta's obviously he's not picking any of them. So I thought we competed well, but I think the overall issue comes back to it's just a lack of quality. Especially in midfield. I really do think we need a reset there. You can see why there are heavy links with Thomas Partey there as well, and obviously, funnily enough, for an Arsenal team, there's next to no creativity. Do you know what I mean? We're a team that used to be blessed with bare technicians. We don't have any anymore. Do you know what I mean? So, and also when I talk about technicians, I also mean like technicians who can run. Like, do you know what I mean? So when you see KDB on the other side, and he's obviously, for one, he's athletic, and obviously you can also mash work technically as well. It's that sort of nice combination as well. So because obviously I get why Arteta uses someone like Willock, but technically he's not there for me at all. So he can put in the hard yards, he runs and he works well, but there's on the ball there's a real distinct lack of quality, and that's just obviously I don't want to just single him out. I'm talking about in midfield generally as well. So
Yeah, across the
obviously
board.
if we're going to look to be a team, I'm assuming Arteta is going to be quite like Pep in terms of how he wants to set up his team going forward long term. We need obviously the party type, but we also need the technicians as well. So there's quite a bit of work to do. But overall, I think we competed well until obviously Mr. David Luiz came and did his hickey hagger nonsense. But yeah, we were competing. Sorry, bro. Go on. Yeah.
Sorry, let me interject. Did we actually compete well, or did City just start in gear one? Because that's another thing that we have to realize is that, to me, yeah, I think obviously it was at the start it was a good performance, but that was a good performance because City wasn't trying. It wasn't like we partnered with City's best and then we competed at when City was playing well. They wasn't playing well, so we looked at their level. They was looking like they was in gear one. We was probably in gear 4, and we was competing with their gear 1, and that's why we was able to sort of like stay in the game. But as soon as they stepped up to gear 2 and 3, they blew us away. So
but to be honest, that's natural. I don't think any Arsenal fan was sitting here and being like, boom, if City play at the best, we know we were going to lose anyway. Do you know what I mean? I think the upsetting thing is that obviously we were in the game until we just gave them like a dumb goal in it. Do you know what I mean? No one will sit here and say like, if City play at their level, like they'll beat us in it normal. But I think what was upsetting is that, do you know what I mean? We just like one thing you will always want to say, don't do anything dumb in it. Make City work for their goals. And the first two, they didn't have to work for it. Do you know what I mean?
The first two goals were crazy.
I think that we should at least be able to, like the City that we saw today, they wasn't at their best. I think we should have at least been able to keep up with them. Do you get what I'm saying? So when I say I'm not expecting to beat them when they play at their best, but when they're playing like this, I expect it to be competitive, innit? So maybe like a 2-1, and I can say, okay, yeah, we've made progress. But if they're playing in gear 3 and we're losing 3-0, we're fucked, innit? Like, we're fucked, fam. That's the truth. Like, I don't know how another way to put it, because they didn't really try, fam. They actually did not try. They were just like, okay, guys, okay, we've warmed up a bit, all right, let's go. And then they just
but like I say, it's a big quality issue, bro.
Yeah,
you're saying obviously it's important to compete. Yeah, I guess so. But even then, we're just miles apart. Like, look, our midfield 3 to start was Xhaka, Guendouzi, and Willock. Their midfield 3 was Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, and KDB. Do you know what I mean? It's just level.
And they could have gone better than that as well.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna come to Joey and
let me just make one point here. But we've seen teams like Palace and Burnley and stuff like that keep it closer than this. Do you get what I'm saying? So is it a style of play issue, or is it that these players are actually not committed to do the task at hand? Because if maybe like Palace and those kind of teams, they can keep it the score down and maybe even like keep it close or even nick a win, why are we just getting blown away in fucking level 3?
Do you think that's do you think that's a bit harsh though? Because yeah, I suppose this is probably typical of Arsenal more generally, but this it isn't and hasn't been typical of Arsenal under Arteta. And I think what we've seen today are 2 glaring errors from, you know, who is supposed to be like a top class footballer. You know, he's made 2 very obvious errors, and so I don't know. Let me come to you, Joe. Anyway, what are you saying?
You know what I'd say from me watching the game? What I think is, I think defensively we're improving. I'm seeing a big improvement defensively. I think for a long part of the first half, we frustrated City. As much as they started slow, I think we was frustrating them, and that we our shape we held our shape well. I don't know whether Xhaka and
Mari,
the injuries, Xhaka and Mari played a part in anything. But I think that my problem with us is, I don't think it's a lack of quality. I think the quality is there. I just think it's that application, the tempo, everything's too slow. When we win the ball, it's that everything's too slow. So the transition's too slow. When we try and play through the thirds, it's too slow. I just think the tempo. I think that's the main issue. We can bring in as many players as we want. If we don't change the tempo of our game, it's like we're getting left behind. Like I don't know who it was that said it. The teams like Sheffield United, and they're hard-working teams, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, that was Rilwan.
Yeah. You just need to work hard and put in the ship. And I don't think there's a lot of players that are busting a gut for us. I think it's a lot of fancy flicks and sideways passes, and I don't think there's a lot of energy in the team.
You see, I would disagree with that today, because I think the team Arteta picked was for guys who would work harder than, like, do you know what I mean? Like, Willock will work harder than an Ozil, who will apply himself better. You had Saka, who works harder than Pepe. So he was picking players who will work harder. I don't think the application was the issue. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't think there's not a player you could pull out of that team today and said they didn't try. They tried. They're just not good enough.
Maybe application is the wrong word. Maybe application is the wrong word. I'm saying the tempo. Like, look, you say that the way we try and play out of the back, from the back. So the ball goes from the goalkeeper to one of the centre backs. The centre back's on the ball for 5-6 seconds. No one's moving. No one's trying to come. No one's moving to receive the ball from the midfield. And then David Luiz resorts to long balls. And then I'm watching the game, and all I'm thinking is, the way we're playing when we've got the ball, we're putting pressure on ourselves when we lose the ball. It's only a matter of time.
I think there's a critical. I think there's a critical issue though there in our midfield, and I suppose I agree with you in a sense. It sounds weird to say that, like, we're improving defensively, having been absolutely panned by City. And to be fair to City as well, they could have scored more than the 3 goals, especially at the end. But I do think there's more organisation and there's more of a structure in place defensively since Arteta's come in. I think that the midfield really undermines us in terms of what we lack in the middle of the park, because we're not good enough to hold on to the ball. And maybe that is what you're talking about, Joe, in terms of trying to play it out on the back, moving around, in terms of being able to move around, be available for the pass, and then actually hold the ball, build up play, and transition into that offensive third. So we've got attackers who spend very little time on the ball, strikers who hardly touch the ball, who are just running and running and running and running. And the midfield is too easily compromised for me. We get bypassed, we get overrun.
I think those Shabs, for the first maybe 30, 35 minutes, the possession was equal.
Yeah, that's a fair
point. The possession was equal.
Yeah,
and I think
that's right.
City were as guilty of doing what we do. Yeah. Like what we do all the time. Like, they was laboured in possession, they got the ball sideways passing, they keeping the ball. But
KDB had it was actually criminal the way he gave the ball away in the first half in the red zone. You know, he's just got the ball in front of his penalty box and gave it away. Why I
say it's not a lack of quality, because I think a number of the players would go to other teams or play in other systems and thrive, or look like better players. Like, you look at Oxlade. Oxlade went to Liverpool and he looks 10 times better already.
Sorry, that's the thing then, because Arteta is going to want to play out from the back. So if you can't adapt and you can't fit into the system, then you have to go. Do you know what I mean? So and this is the thing as well. So this, what Arteta is trying to implement now, it will expose those who can handle it and those who can't handle it. Do you know what I mean? So, and we're seeing a lot of these centre backs we have, none of the, even though funnily enough, as you guys have said, our defensive record's actually improved under Arteta. It's attacking wise where we can't do it, because for me, actually, our biggest problems come from centre midfield, because we don't have players who can hold the ball under pressure. Whereas before, you know, you had Cesc Fabregas, you had different types there who could just who were able to turn. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, those sort of players who could turn under pressure, keep the ball under pressure. We don't have that. Do you know what I mean? These guys here, they treat the ball like a hot potato. Do you know what I mean? So they're not comfy on the ball. And for a possession team, we need guys who are, one, comfy on the ball, and two, who can run. So it's both of that combination. We went from being a team that had loads of athleticism with technical players to being a team that had more technical players but they could still run, to being a team that had technical
Neither.
guys, they couldn't run, and now we
Yeah.
just don't have anything.
We just don't have
Literally,
anything.
we just don't have anything. So
all right. So then shouldn't the style change then? Because if we're still trying to, especially in these big games, I'm not talking about the Brightons and whatever. I'm saying that in these type of games, shouldn't we commit to a more counter-attacking style of play? Like, for example, United seem to do well in these games, innit? And I think that's more down to them having committed to a style of play that is more suited to the players that they have. I don't think we've committed to a style of play for the level of players that we have.
Well, I suppose I suppose that was my question. Then, does it mean that if we can't get play in the way that we want, then the style has to change? And if you think about Liverpool's midfield, for example, they don't have the best technicians in the middle of the park, you know what I mean? But they bypass their midfield a lot. They've got a lot of threats down the flanks with their fullbacks. Trent Alexander can, he can be a deep threat. He comes up to pack the middle of the park as well, and offers a range of passing that's absolutely top tier. But Henderson, Fabinho does to an extent, but Henderson, Wijnaldum, they're not players who spend a lot of time on the ball. They're not necessarily playmakers. They just have that about them where they work hard. So does it mean that the style needs to change, or are we talking about this is still too soon? Arteta's still trying to implement these ideas, and you need to give him the chance to. Yeah.
I think if we're going to compare it to Liverpool, then I think we definitely have to look at the longer term picture, because Klopp didn't get it right straight away.
No, definitely not.
And Arteta's not even had a full transfer window or summer yet to get what he wants. So I think maybe if that's the flip side to that question, do we as fans need to maybe lower our expectations and get behind a long-term project, and maybe you get what I'm trying to say? That's what I think. That's what I think the flip side to that question is.
But that is it though, because we know Arteta's here to implement a long-term project, and to the points about should he change his style, Arteta's going to be very much set in his ways. He's going to have a style, and he's going to make everyone play to that style. So those who can't play to it, they will eventually go. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I don't think he should be changing. He should be changing wishy-washy. He should have what he wants to do, and he should stick by it. Those who can adapt to it, they will stay. Those who can't adapt to it, they will go long term. Do you know what I mean? So and you just stick with it. Do you know what I mean? So because you see the managers who tend to be the best are the ones who have their philosophy and they stick by it. Do you know what I mean? Pep is always the same. Klopp is always the same. These guys aren't wavering, dependent on like who they're playing. Do you know what I mean? So I think.
Sorry, but you see the two managers that you named. You've got to understand the levels that we're at, innit? So you see with Pep, he gets millions and millions of pounds to play the way he wants to play. Do you get what I'm saying? And if you can't play the way they'll bench you. Look, they've got Bravo on the bench for 30 mil or whatever. Actually, I don't know if he was 30 mil, but however much he costs, he's a very expensive goalkeeper, innit? Klopp, no matter who you give Klopp, he's going to play that style. And that style isn't dependent on the quality of player, if you get what I'm saying. I've seen this guy was buying off the pitch with fucking Jogic and Grosskreutz and them kind of players. Do you get what I'm saying? So Klopp's style is more of a style that I think we should try and emulate rather than Pep.
You see, but then I think you're going to be unhappy because that's not Arteta. Do you know what I mean? Arteta's an idealist like Pep, and that's going to be how he sets up to play. And you say obviously you're right. Pep did have a lot of money to spend, and I'll take that point into consideration. But even when Pep wasn't doing well in his first season, do you know what I mean? They were saying, is Pep a fraud, blah, blah, blah. Even when I think City finished first in Pep's first season, Pep still played exactly the same way.
Yeah, he never compromised his principles.
He never compromised. He never changed any approach.
One time.
He just said, all right, boom, this is how I'm going to play. I'm seeing who's up to it and who's not up to it. Whoever's not up to it, we're going to get rid of you at the end of the season. And obviously, I take your point, Rilwan, because obviously we don't have that level of finances in it. So, and I hear you. But even if we don't have that finances, we're still going to have to find that same sort of player, just a lower quality. Do you know what I mean? Well, we have to try and find a place that, like, sorry. Let me just finish my point. So, like, for example, like, say we're going to need a playmaker. The top sort of playmaker we would want is maybe like an Odegaard in it, but we might not be able to afford an Odegaard in it. Do you know what I mean? So we might have to go lower, and which is why we're looking at guys like a Kochku now from that dude from Feyenoord, in it. that might be more sort of in our. So
You're shopping in
stylistically,
a different
so
market.
stylistically, it's the same sort of player, but it's just in terms of the quality, it's not as high in it. So that's what I'm saying. Me personally, I would disagree. I don't think Arteta should be changing any sort of style. I think he should be pursuing what he wants to do, but obviously we just have to shop in the appropriate ball mark.
I agree with that. But then I think then we just have to be honest with ourselves and admit we have a ceiling, and we're never going to break that ceiling because the market that we're shopping at, we might hit the ones and twos, but then it's just going to be
I
like
disagree with that though. I disagree.
You're never, sorry, go on. Let me just say this: you're never going to get a Kochku or whatever that brother is from finals to be a KDB. So as long as City's able to carry on buying KDBs, we're never ever going to beat them, kind of thing. Unless it's the one-off season where you have like a Leicester or something like that.
I disagree with that. I think there are teams there are teams in the Premier League who have been able to improve both their personnel and their performances without shopping at the very top tier. Obviously, the difference that it makes when you shop at the top level is that you're able to consistently compete at that level. But it doesn't mean that we can't improve. As bad as Arsenal have been, like, we're not that bad of a side. You know what I mean? Like that we have been like one or two key players away across the last 3-4 seasons from being able to finish in the top four. So we're not that bad of a side. It's been like we've failed to address key issues in key areas at times, but we're not as bad as other people make us out to be.
I'm not gonna lie, we're bad now. We are bad. Like you see,
man, we're bad. Man,
cool. Bad. Yeah, right now. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
We've had
have to take that.
Talent drain.
We've been bad. We've been bad, Chef.
Bro, look at the players that we've lost: Rosicky, Santi, Wilshere, Ramsey, Sanchez. Even let me mention that Bum Giroud. Like, look what these kind of level of players that we've lost here, and who have we replaced them with? Like, Nketiah is a young player, and I believe in him or whatever. But Nketiah isn't on Giroud's level, and he's starting for us. Do you get what I'm saying? Lacazette, who we spent 30 million on, it was 50 mil that we spent on Lacazette, isn't better than Giroud. So it's like we have to admit that we have a ceiling then. Like, all these little guys that we're going to do, they're not going to take us to the top unless we change the style of play. And that's
So I would disagree on the style of play because also I still think I believe in what Arteta's doing and I don't think he should change. With me, where the issue comes in, because you've just mentioned, Rilwan, we spent 50 mil on Lacazette. He's been a poor signing. Do you know what I mean? So, and even me as a fan of Nicolas Pepe, 72 million was way too much money to spend. Yeah. So for me, we shouldn't. If we're going to spend big, it has to be on people who are guaranteed successes. Do you know who you know are going to be guaranteed successes in it. So I don't even think it's a money problem because if you look over the last 3-4 years, Arsenal have spent money. It's just not spent well.
It's where they've spent money. It's where they've applied the funds.
The recruitment has been poor.
Yeah.
And we're all sitting here. The recruitment's been poor because right now we should have. Pepe should be a star. He's not a star. Do you know what I mean? So he can't even come off the bench. Do you know what I mean? So we need to look at the way we're addressing ourselves in the transfer market as well, and make sure we're buying accordingly. So, and that's where sometimes for me, the thing about Raul and his agent approach, it doesn't tally up.
It doesn't sit well. I mean?
So you might be using the agents to get certain players you want, but does that fit in with what the manager and the coach wants as well? So there's that disconnect.
It's the other side of that as well, Rilwan. I'm gonna stop you there. Let the thing flow. But it's the other side of things as well in terms of like getting rid of players as well, and just how we manage player contracts and how we don't profit or capitalize from letting our players go out the other end as well, which ultimately impacts our finances. And the circle continues, and we've kind of been on and on and on about this point. I do want to come back to this game though today and just think about the performances. Are there any performers in an Arsenal shirt today who you guys would say did okay, or that you weren't too disappointed with, or that you saw something? Because it does feel to me a little bit like from now until the end of the season, there's not that much hope. It's more about hoping to start to see things come through and things start to fall into shape for how Arteta and what Arteta wants next season. So were there any hopefuls in terms of individuals or performers that you saw from today?
Yeah, Tierney for me. is the main one. Like I really like him in terms of one. He has that athletic profile we need. You know what I mean? You know, when you're looking at people who can run all day, physically looks like he can run all day. He gets up and down the pitch well. You've seen he can deliver in the final third as well. And those are that sort of ballpark is where I feel like we should be doing more sort of deals a lot in that Tierney sort of ballpark as well. So more players like him who are athletic, who can run all day, but have the technical capacity as well to do a decent job as well. So for me, he was obviously we didn't win, but yeah, he was probably the standout. Him and obviously we know Leno has saved our backsides however many times this season. You know what I mean? So those would be the main two for me.
To be fair, Leno was top tier today, and he made a number of key saves today, and it would have been as per usual, it would have been a different result without the saves and the times that he pulled us out today. Joey, what about you in terms of performance? Any advancements on those two?
No, man. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I guess he was watching the same game. I think Tierney. I was impressed with Tierney. I can't lie. I thought he looked a bit lightweight. Before I watched him play properly, he looked a bit lightweight. I thought he would get bullied around a bit.
But he handled his own.
Especially when he went centre back for a while, he done all right, man.
Tierney had a good battle with Walker at points in the game as well today. Not saying that he had him, but a couple of times he was up against him. A couple of times he was up against was it Mahrez? It was Mahrez, wasn't it? But yeah.
You see what is with Leno as well, yeah. I like Leno's. He made some great saves, but I just want him to be a bit more commanding. He seems like a bit of a quiet keeper, if that makes sense. He doesn't come across like he commands the penalty area. It seems like he's just standing in the goal waiting for the shots to rain on him.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But he made some good saves. He definitely was top two. One of the two players that could walk away there.
And Rilwan, what do you make? Any advancements on those two? Or?
I liked Ceballos.
Yeah. I thought Ceballos did well when he came on.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was dissing him before he came on. He did quite well. I really like Nketiah's movement off the ball. Like I know that brother's gonna bag still. Like I'm so sure that guy's gonna bag 20, 30 goals if he carries on getting the opportunities. Maybe he needs to add some more to the game, but that guy's down to net.
20, 30 goals a season?
Yeah, I can see him bagging that.
What Prem goals, all comps? What we were talking here?
All comps. I don't want to say Prem goals, all comps.
I was say, brother, where you going with this, you know?
When you've got movement like that, you score goals, in it. To me, that's the most important thing.
The thing is, I don't disagree with you in terms of his movement, but in terms of the creativity, that for me, there's such a lack of creativity here that we don't have players who can consistently find the front men. So that's my issue. I think for as good as his movement can be and as much of a knack for goal that he has, who's going to consistently pick him out based on who we have currently? I know you're saying the 20 to 30 goals all season is not going to be based on this season. So talking about some point in the future where hopefully we've addressed some of these issues. But I think if we don't get creators, if we don't have those playmakers in the side,
100%,
guys who can do that in the final third, or that unpredictable player who can just beat two men and just square it for him to tap into an empty net. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't really see it. Yeah.
I don't know whether anybody was worried by Bellerin today. I was by myself with that one.
Bro, we are always worried about Bellerin.
Bro, we've been worried about Bellerin.
Been worried about Bellerin for a long time.
There was a time where he was chasing Raheem. Is that me?
Yeah.
What's that? There was a time where he was chasing Raheem Sterling and he looked like he had weight that he's I don't know. Where's his pace gone? He's that Samson. He's not all his pace.
He's been vegan, man. He's been vegan. But I mean, it's not hard food, isn't it? Leroy will tell you, bro. He needs to eat hard food, bro. He needs to go too sweet. He needs something, bro.
And he needs to come with me so I can take him to. So I can take my man to Squires, bro. Get him some pounded yam and them.
Squires, innit?
His diet is looking.
Talking drum.
His diet is looking light, bro.
Yeah,
Too light.
get
But
some
yeah, no,
bodies, innit?
I think we've been worried about him for a while, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, ACL injury is a very hard injury to come back from, innit? And obviously, but he's been playing now for about a few months in it. But he's and to be honest, this was even before his injury. He's looked like he's been slowing down for a while now, innit? So he's all right, but you know, just from when he first burst on, yeah, and Bellerin was mad explosive, bro. His pace was different, innit?
It's gone.
It's gone. He just doesn't have that anymore, unfortunately. So, but he can still do a job, but it's just not, you know, like the hopes you had for him when he first burst through in it. So it's not the same anymore.
Okay.
To be fair, though, you see what we're failing to mention is that this was against City, Manchester City. This is not City or obviously. That's what I want to say, that we are playing against one of the top tier teams in world football at the moment. So
you have to remember that. Yeah, everything's caveated by the fact, obviously, we're playing one of the best teams on road as well. But just on the Bellerin stuff, that one, that's not just based on this game, innit?
Yeah,
that worry's been there for a while, innit, about Bellerin.
His overall performances have his stock has dropped, man. His stock's dropped for a little while. So another player whose stock's dropped immeasurably, David Luiz. He's definitely at the not definitely at the top of the list of players who the majority of Arsenal fans would say they want gone, but he's definitely on the list. He's definitely the donkey of the day. Bro. You got to give it. So he had half an hour, didn't he? He played about 30 minutes of football. You know, made two horrible errors. The first one, I mean, I don't know what he's doing. I mean, at first, I saw the pass and I said, to be fair, it was a good pass from David KDB. And not to say that like that justifies the mistake at all. No, the mistake shouldn't have happened. But then the more I looked at it, I thought it was a good pass, but it wasn't amazing. You know, it wasn't his like, you know, whips it round the corner and on the bend and that. And actually, it kind of came into David Luiz's path. And I don't know who tries to, I mean, this is it, the lapse of concentration or the temperament and I mean, he came off the bench with a smile on his face, you know, having been dropped from the start of the game and you know, the coach alluded to, you know, we'll discuss this later on, you know, so it kind of alluded to maybe this wasn't a fitness issue as I thought it was, and maybe something else was going on. But then he's kind of come off the bench with a big grin, like, ha, I got the last laugh. And then had an absolute mare of 30 minutes, two absolute casualties, which have cost us like direct mistakes, which have led to goals, that statistic. And got himself a red card for it, a straight red as well. So he's not a straight red if I don't miss it. So what would he miss? It wasn't violent conduct.
It wasn't violent conduct, so he'll just miss one game. Yeah.
But yeah, man, he's donkey of the day. And I don't know if you guys have got any more thoughts on him or anything else that you want to say about him.
Bruv, I told you, man, we need to
work through the list.
We need to stop buying these Chelsea youths, man. First Gallas, then Czech, then this youth. They're all agents of chaos, bro. I'm telling you, bro. We got
to be done with them. And that's why we're so against Willian as well.
Bro,
Joey was saying earlier in the chat about,
if we buy Willian, I'll lose it, bro.
Not saying that we should buy him, but he was questioning.
You got to stop buying Chelsea.
Nketiah in that listing because we got Nketiah from Chelsea as well.
No. But he's a younger, bro. We're buying washed up guys, bro. In the
he's not infected with their Chelsea scumness yet, man.
And the another thing as well, is that whenever they buy players from us, they do well, bro. But the ones we're getting from them, bro.
Once we get from them, the swap, the transaction.
Up the joint, bro. So we need to stop shopping at Chelsea, bro. These men in West London, they're just laughing at us, bro.
Yeah.
Like, look at these pagans, bro. Like, honestly, I've had enough, man.
I think the nicest way I can put it about David Luiz is that I think he's not suited to top level football anymore, man. His concentration levels are not high enough. That's without being rude, that's the only thing I can put it down to. Like his concentration levels are poor. Now I think he means well. I don't know what the smirking and all that was about when he came on the pitch, but I think he means well and he looks genuinely upset when he does make the errors, but it's too many. It's too many. I think he's past his prime, man. That's the only
He always faces up. Say it again, Rilwan.
That's not even a past his prime thing. He's always been like that.
Yeah.
Like his whole career has been littered with errors, and he just might not. He might make a little bit more now, but this is David Luiz, which is why I don't understand why we bought him in the first place. We'll have probably maybe 6, 7 out of 8 games, 7 out of 10 games, and then he'll drop it. He'll have them bookmarked with 3 out of 10 games, and you're like, oh, okay, this is why they don't trust you. Do you get what I'm saying? This is why they even went to 3 centre backs, because you can't trust him. You can't trust David Luiz. Like, he's a joke. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's even more funny that we decided to invest 8 million in a guy and give him a 1-year contract in a position where we should have been looking to build for the future. Like, we just wasted all those wages, wasted all that transfer fee, and what did we achieve with signing David Luiz? Just more fuck-ups, man.
Wait, all right. So other players on that list, Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil's probably highest up on the list if I can keep it 100% real with you lot. What do you lot think, man? Didn't make the squad. Did not make the squad. Who's got something to say?
Did anyone see why? Did anyone see? Because Arteta said he was going to address it after the game. I didn't catch it. Did anyone catch it?
Didn't catch it. No. Didn't catch it. Anyone pick up on it? No. So we don't know. People might know. Listeners might know especially by the time they hear this. But yeah, we're not too sure the reasons why. Man.
I think it's a thing where Ozil's just refusing to leave.
They're trying to get rid of the club. Want him out. Arsenal want him out for real. Yeah.
I want him out, bro. It's time, bro. For someone who was even a fan of him, he's done out here, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So them 350k per week wages, it's eating too much, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it upsets me because for a team that was we were known, like, even when we weren't winning, like, we were still balling in it. Do you know what I mean? The football ain't even nice no more.
Nah, there's nothing. Yeah. At least we had.
There's nothing left.
There's nothing, bro. Bro,
but
remember,
is that his fault? Is that his fault?
He's the face of it. He's actually the face of it.
So you think all the problems we've discussed that we've got, you think he personifies all them problems?
Yes,
like the
exactly.
lack of creativity.
No.
Because I disagree with the lack of creativity. Yeah, lack of effort. Yeah.
The lack of look at his record in the last 2 seasons and see how many stats, how much assists he's got.
Yeah, but I'm saying, is that all down to Mesut Ozil?
A part of it is.
If we're saying that we've got a lack of quality in the club and all the players are not good enough, then is Mesut Ozil a bit of a scapegoat then? Do you get where I'm coming from? Because
I do get what you're saying. Like, it's kind of like he's brought it upon himself. And you know why I say that? It's not like we've seen Ozil in the beginning of his 3 years where he was busting a gut, he was putting us on his back, and he delivered every time when we needed him to. Even if we didn't win, whatever, you could never ever leave the game and say, you know, Ozil didn't try today. You know, like someone like Gerrard. No Liverpool fan could ever say Gerrard didn't try. You get what I'm saying? He put that team on his back. I've never ever felt like Ozil's put the team on his back apart from that 19 assist season. That's when I thought, and that was after probably about around December when he was completely shit and he was just like, okay, I'm going to do this myself. And we even beat Man City. I think it was 2-1 that season. And that's when he actually put us on his back. This Ozil now, we fucked up because he's giving him the contract, innit? So once you've given a man a contract, you can't force him out. You literally can't force him out because if I'm him, I'm not going to get 350k anywhere else. Why should I leave? I'll chill with it. I'll play Fortnite. I'll go training if you want me to come train. If you don't want me to go train, I'll stay with my wife and we'll have some kids. I'm on 350k. What more do I need to ask? Do you get what I'm saying? So it's our fault for giving him the contract. It's his fault for not performing. Do you get what I'm saying? When he's been given the opportunity. But it's like chicken and egg because we saw this was coming. He's never really given a shit when he's been at Arsenal. He's always thought that he was too big for the club, in my opinion. So what did we expect when we was going to give this big ostrich contract in the last few years of a luxury player's career?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you've got a few points. Maybe you've got a few points. I don't know.
I think though at the time, at the time, as Arsenal fans, I don't know if you three all agree, but I certainly was one of the people that was screaming, "Give him what he wants." I was screaming that from the top of my lungs.
What
We can't lose Ozil.
when it was like him
when we
and
when we
Sanchez?
gave him the 350 contract,
Yeah,
when he signed the contract,
Do you know what?
we need to keep him.
People were screaming that because they were like, "Oh, we don't want to lose Sanchez as well." But the dumb thing about all of that was that we both allowed them to get down to 6 months left on their deal. Do you know what I mean? That should have been sorted out in the summer. If it was that, you should have sold both of them. Do you know what I mean? One thing Arsenal fans are scared of is selling players, bro. Selling players isn't bad if you replace well, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Liverpool sold Coutinho, they sold Suarez. Look at where they are now, bro. It's not a bad thing to sell players if you can reinvest well. Obviously, I say reinvest well because Arsenal don't reinvest well at all anyway. So, but you know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, it's not a bad thing. People are like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen if they go? What's going to happen?" I said, life. It's the same thing I feel about Aubameyang. I love Aubameyang, but if he goes, life moves on, bro. There's always somebody new. There's always a new player, bro.
But
I don't understand, bro.
we don't allow us.
Bro, sorry, but what I'm saying is, yeah, I'm like, all these players that people are scared about losing, yeah, none of them were as good as Fabregas.
Yeah,
you've
lived through losing Henri. You've lived through losing Fabregas. You lived through losing Van Persie.
When I've seen Henri, Van Persie, Fabregas, I don't care about Ozil, Sanchez, like Aubameyang. I don't care about them, man. None of them man are level with them, man. That way. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So none of them man are levels, bro. So that they could all cut, bro. And the thing is, with me, I'm one of those ones now. Where we are at, I'm prepared for a new start. Do you know what I mean? I would happily sell most of these men and start again. Give Arteta the young Gs. Do you know what I mean? Let him help develop them, and then sell most of these waste of spaces, bro. And let him use that money to rebuild what he can within the squad. Do you know, start again. Why are you scared to start again? I don't mind going through like a 2-year process if I know, boom, that this is the plan. This is what we're going to be looking to do. Do you know what I mean? I'm not scared about that, bro. We're crap now anyway. So you might as well like start the teaming process again. Do you know what I mean? So, but what we did and what was wrong was that we tried to take the short-term fix with Emery and all of this sort of thing. We're like, oh, we'll chuck money at it to get back into the top 4. But that was dumb planning anyway, because one, Aubameyang is in his 30s now. I don't know how long he's got left. Ozil's in his 30s. We brought Mkhitaryan, we gave him massive wages. Lacazette was on massive wages. We completely shattered our wage bill to try and get back into the Champions League.
Yeah,
It was dumb. We completely ruined our whole wage bill. We ruined the team when we should have sold these people at the right moment and reinvested and started young again. Bro, you go through that period. Even when we had Henri and them, man, bro, you sold and you replenish well, bro. That's what you're supposed to do as a team. That's how you stay competitive at the top level, bro. But we either hold on to people for too long and they become wash, or they run down their contract and they leave and we don't get money. So do you know what I mean? So we've got a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of things to answer for. Let me put it out there. I really like Arteta, but I just don't know how he's going to be a success if he's not, because I don't trust the people above him.
So he needs to be backed.
And that's the main crux of it.
100%.
He needs to be backed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're just gonna. I think that's a passionate rant from you, Sean, and a fair play, man. I respect it, to be fair. So Arsenal, that's their game in hand now. We are. What are we? We remain 8 points off the top 4. Yeah, we're 8 points away from Chelsea, so we're locked on 40 points after 28 games played, so 10 games to go. So up next, we are away at Brighton. Yeah, am I correct? What are you lot's predictions? How's your feeling after this match, going into that game? What do you think is going to happen? More of the same, or do you think we should be getting a result there?
I think we should definitely be looking to get a result there, man. We need to, man. We need to. We need to get some momentum there. And that City is understandable. It's understandable not coming away from City with anything, regardless of the performance. But teams like Brighton, we should be able to get the result even by not playing well, not being at our best. But I think it all goes down to the selection and the tactical approach, really.
Okay, Rilwan, who do you think? What do you think about that game, and what do you think Arteta should do differently?
I think we'll scrape through it. Probably get a 1-0, 2-1 victory. Well, we're all right in games like that. I don't think we're ready for the elite boys, I should say, like the Liverpools and the Cities. But I do think we're ready for the Spurs and the Uniteds and stuff like that. I want to say that one thing I want to clarify. I do back Arteta as well in it. I do. I just think that where we're at as a team, we might need a different approach. But I'm happy to back Arteta all the way. You get what I'm saying? I just think if we're gonna play that style, I think we're gonna have a lower ceiling than if we changed our style, in it. But yeah, against Brighton, I think we should be able to scrape a victory. I think all our victories for the rest of the season are going to be scrapes.
And Sean, what do you think, man? Who do you think should come into the side? What do you think Arteta should do different for that Brighton game?
Yes. So firstly, just before I answer that, I saw what Arteta said about Ozil. They asked him. He just said it was just a tactical reason. So I think that's Ozil done at it. To be honest, like he said, he wasn't injured. There was nothing. He just left him out, and that's a real indictment on him. And to be honest, as much as we all hated Emery, he was leaving him out for exactly the same reason. So it doesn't reflect well on Ozil. Just to look ahead to the Brighton game, I agree with Rilwan. I think we're gonna scrape. I think we'll try and scrape it. Yeah, like a 1-0 or 2-1, maybe even like a 3-2 or something. I don't see. I just want us to get through to the end of the season and see what we can get, and then that will determine what we do from there. In terms of who comes in, obviously we have to see what happens with Mari, but so it'll probably be someone with Mustafi. Don't know if Socrates will be fit or Holding. I mean, it's just the best of a bad bunch, really, in it. They're all terrible. So, but yeah, I would like to see keep Tierney and Bellerin in. I don't know if Torreira will be ready. If Torreira is ready, bring him in, and then maybe have some sort of combination of like Ceballos and like Willock ahead. It's poor because I'm looking through and I'm like the centre mid options are just poor. There's nothing we can do. But I would like to refresh it as well, especially on the wing, like Martinelli and Pepe. I would do it. Bring both of them in against Brighton and have Oba through the middle. That's what I would do. We have, because what we seem to have up front, up heavy, we're stacked. There's loads of different options where you can rotate and experiment in it. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. Obviously, Oba will play because if you don't score, I don't know who's scoring right now. Well, between him and Nketiah, those are the only ones that are scoring for us as well. So, but yeah, maybe Oba, Martinelli come in, maybe even Nelson as well. So I think there'll be a bit of change up top, but down at the back, there's not as much we can do in it. So we'll see. But yeah, I think I agree with Raw, and we'll just scrape like a 1-0, 2-1 win. Well, hopefully, I hope anyway.
Okay, no, that's cool. You're kind of moving on to listeners' questions, yeah, and I think you kind of touched on one of the points here. So we've got some listeners' questions from the Discord server as well, from the Discord chat. So Reese has asked, who would you rather waste money on, extending Louise or signing that bum Mari? What would you?
Mari.
Yeah,
we should do neither.
Yeah, I would preferably do neither as well.
There's no option. It's one.
But I would sign Murray because from what I've seen of him so far, he's not a lunatic like Louise is. So while his bar may be very low, I just know he's not going to do anything dumb like Louise is. The only thing I worry about Murray as well, this youth looks like he can't run either, bro. He just looks bare. He looks like a left Mertesacker, bro. Like he just don't look like he can run either, bro.
He looks like he can't even move.
Bro, I don't understand what it is with Arsenal signing centre backs that can't run, bro.
Horrible centre backs, just horrible.
Bro, when I look, I'm like, why can't we just buy more centre backs like Saliba, bro? All of these, Saliba looks like, he's about it, athletic, PMP. Why is every centre back we have apart from Saliba slow?
And players like Kouassi. And players like Kouassi get scooped up.
Kouassi Don has just gone on a free transfer to Bayern. Do you know what I mean? I need more PMP centre backs, bro. I need some more Arsenal black players, bro. Because all these dons that can't run are pissing me off, bro. Do you know what I mean, bro? You need to get the real man them that are about it, bro. That can move, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Arsenal black again.
Yeah, bro. It needs to happen because the rest of these guys are pissing me off.
All right. Aaron 3K has asked, how many more summers do you think Raul and Cole have left? I'm gonna give this one to you, Joey.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
What do you think? How many more summers these guys have got? Raul and Cole.
I don't know, man. It's not, they're not exactly under that much pressure, are they? From above. So it's more or less when they get fed up, really, isn't it? Or when something else turns their eye. That's like, I don't know what to say to that question. I don't think it's anytime soon. If that helps.
No, really and truly, they should have maybe 2 windows left, because the type of approach that they're going for is not going to work at Arsenal, and we've seen the trouble it's caused at Barca as well. Barca off the pitch are a shit show, and Arsenal can actually not afford that. We don't have Messi to bail us out. We don't even have really marketable players after Arsenal leaves. Even his marketing is in the toilet now. Like, we're actually in big trouble. Big trouble. We actually just have to pray. Like,
wait. What was the question? Are you saying how long have they got before they should get it right, or before they leave?
It's just, how many more summers do you think Raul and Cole have? So to me, that alludes to a bit more like how much time will they have left before executive decisions made? Before executive decisions made. That's how I'm reading it. Man. Yeah, that's how I'm reading it. Okay. I've got one more, and I'm going to throw this to you, Sean, because I know this is your boy. On Twitter from @DHBanks or the Banks, was signing Pepe, especially for his fee, the right decision?
So obviously, as someone who's a big fan of Pepe, you have to be honest. He's underwhelmed. He's not delivered. Relative to, obviously, I think we can all acknowledge that we overpaid in it. Do you know what I mean? So, and we were held over the barrel for that. At the same time, his stock was, you got to remember, after the season he had, we signed him off the back of a 22 goal and 11 assist season in it. Do you know what I mean? So statistically, he was one of the highest performing players in Europe when we signed him in it. So. And my standpoint has always been, I don't think we've always helped him. We haven't always tried to get the best out of him. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of getting him off the wing, getting an overlapping fullback behind him, just to support him a bit more, I've always felt he's been a bit isolated. Whilst I'm saying that, there's been obviously evident things he's been dropped by 3 managers, which indicates that maybe he's either not working hard enough or he's not doing enough for them to leave him out. So he needs to be a bit retrospective and take a look at himself as well. Do you know what I mean? What can I do more to make sure that the managers aren't leaving me out in it? So I'll still back him because he's my boy. But put it this way, boy, I'll give him 6 months into next season. If it don't improve, I'm a Ray Charlesing boy. I'm gonna do him like Judas. So boy, yeah, I'm gonna leave him. So I still think the jury's out, and I hope he's given a bit more time. But he has to pull his socks up himself as well.
No, fair play. There's one more question I've just noticed here.
Sorry, Shabs, can I just add to that about Pepe?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's a bit too early to say whether it's a waste of money. I think what the problem is that he hasn't hit the ground running, and I think because of the recent signings that have come to the Prem and hit the ground running, it's kind of become expected. But if you look at some of the Premier League greats, they didn't hit the ground running. And I think when I watch him, the quality is there, it's evident. And I think maybe him not starting and him not playing, maybe it might be down to him, his attitude, but it might be down to maybe him acclimatizing to a different country, a different league.
Those are valid points you make. Obviously, it's always tough when you join a new league. There's a new culture, a new language, new teammates. Those are things that are hard to acclimatize to. But at the same time, I'm saying this as someone who's a big fan. If you've been dropped by 3 different managers, you have to look at yourself and be like, what am I not doing? Because obviously, managers will do their best to try and help you acclimatize. None of the managers have wanted to leave him out in the lurch, but they've said one thing or another. When Lundberg was in charge, he said, do you know what? He's a good player, but I'm not seeing it enough in training. Or Arteta has said he's got to make me not want to leave him out. Do you know what I mean? So he's obviously, he needs to help himself as much as he needs to be helped. And that maybe at the moment he's not doing enough for other
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. I agree. It's not. I don't even think it's a maybe thing. I think it's definitely he's not doing enough because it's clear that he's not getting the minutes. But I think maybe it's that maybe I don't think he doesn't seem like he's complaining. So maybe it's a thing where he knows, boy, I've got to work, and I think a lot of it might come down to moving from being a big fish in a small pond to a small fish in a big pond. And yeah, I just think he needs a little bit of time, man. It's a big investment. He's a young player, so it's a long-term investment. So I think, yeah, man.
I think he does need time.
Go on, Will.
I think he definitely needs time. I think he needs a pre-season. But also, if you're turning up, and it's sort of like what happened to Hazard as well, I think these players got this big move and they didn't realize just how lucky they were or the expectations that the move was going to come with. And I think they came in unprepared. That's my opinion from watching him. And not even just him, Hazard as well. Like, they came in, he didn't seem like he was ready to hit the ground running. And all the Arsenal players that I've seen that have started well, because there's no reason why Martinelli's had a better season than him. That should not even be an option. And he's come from a whole different country, a whole different culture. Pepe's just come from over the water. We can go to Pepe's fucking town on Eurostar. Do you get what I'm saying? Pepe's all too. Martinelli sings halfway across the road, and he's managed to adapt better than Pepe. Pepe has zero excuses. And back to the three managers thing. If your three managers don't like you, there's a problem with you, and you haven't done enough. And we've seen them all signs, and even though the signs that we've seen, I don't think is worth 72 mil. Like, I don't think what we've seen has been worth 72 mil. There definitely is potential there, so it's up to him to unlock that.
He said the problem is you. The thing is, Pepe comes up every week. He's a talking player, and I think more so when Arsenal lose or don't get the results expected, then people turn to, well, why did we spend all this money, and what have we got done, and so on and so on and so on. And I think it's not what you want. You don't want to be patient for a player who you spent that much money on. But I think at this point, it's all we can do. There's no way that we can sell this player now and make any money on it. In fact, we stand to make a significant loss by trying to move him on right now. But I think he is still young enough and coachable to be worked with. And I do think, Joey's point about some of the Premier League greats, Henry, Cristiano Ronaldo, Drogba. These players did not. They were far from it. They were mediocre in their first couple seasons, and the circumstances are different for a Cristiano Ronaldo. Maybe he was a lot younger when they signed him. The fee was even relative to the day. The fee wasn't excessive. He was signed for like 13.5 million quid or whatnot. But I do still think you need to give him a bit of time, because there were players. Drogba really didn't hit the ground running until his third season. I
think the price tag goes in Ronaldo's favour, because I think like all players, you don't choose how much you go for. So he didn't ask to be sold for 75 million. However much it was. Like, why I was likening him to Ronaldo, because I think when Ronaldo first came here, he probably had a different conception of the Premier League. I watch Pepe sometimes, and he actually looks confused. Like, what? I didn't get a free kick for that. What's going on here? So I think he's actually learning as he's playing, and realizing, you know what, I've got to be a bit tougher. I need to get in the gym, maybe. I need to bulk up. I need to that. And I think, yeah, man. I think. Unless if he comes out complaining as to why I'm not playing and I feel I should be playing, I think we're all basically saying the same thing in different ways. He's just got to get his head down, work harder, and show that he's worth being an Arsenal player.
Okay, I've got one more quick question, and then we're really going to wrap it up, man, because we're going a bit over. So on Discord, the Broken Baller has said, at this point, do you reckon it may suit us to spend a couple of years out of Europe? I'm assuming he means Europa, and rebuild around youth. If I think about Leicester and the season that Leicester have had, and I know they were falling off, they were going into a bit of a free fall before lockdown, but there's no doubt that they've benefited by only having to play one game a week, and Brendan Rodgers has had the time to just really work with the squad and really, get them training, and there aren't really scheduling issues and whatnot. Personally, I don't think that we can afford to be out of Europe, and I think that's one big issue. But do any of you think that may serve us good?
I think the point you make about financially, and I think that's the thing that hurts, because our wage bill is so high. We can't really afford it, even though I think there are merits to being out of it and saying, cool, let's take stock and rebuild. And you can see these guys are in a hurry to get back into Europe, in it, by any sort of means necessary. Even the Europa, it's not great, but it brings in revenue. Do you know what I mean? And also, like you said, from being in Europa, that's another avenue to getting into the Champions League as well. So, and also, the Europa can be used to develop youngsters as well, because that's something you can use to give them more game time in the early stages as well, in it. So I think if we can try and sneak back into the Europa, whether that's through our league position or winning the FA Cup, I think that's good, and it will still bring a bit of revenue to allow us to do the little bit we can do in the summer as well.
Anyone think different?
No, I agree. I don't think. To be fair, let me play devil's advocate. Actually, I can't even play devil's advocate.
Yeah, I was like, don't disagree just for the sake of disagreeing.
Our squad is so rubbish that the extra day's work here, rest here, isn't going to make a difference anyway. So it's like, we might as actually well just use the competition just to blood these youngsters and give them more time and give them more game. And yeah, it is. We can probably blag our way all the way to the quarterfinals. Obviously, it didn't work this year, but we should be good enough to get to at least the quarterfinals, like just joking around, innit? So we might as well be in it. European football is good. It adds to the prestige of the club. It's another route into the Champions League. Really and truly, most of the teams that drop from the Champions League into the Europa League, we should be looking to meet them in the semis or the finals anyway. So that really shouldn't be an issue, and we should be better than most of them anyway. So yeah, we might as well be in it. It's better than that, than just wasting a whole week, and like, it makes no difference to our Saturday result.
Yeah, I hear that. Okay, man. Okay, that's it, man. That's it from us, guys. Please make sure to this is the bit I'm not good at. Make sure you like, listen, share, subscribe, follow us up. Make sure we're across all platforms, so you can get us on your Apple Podcasts. We're up there on the Spotify as well. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube as well. Peace out, you guys. Take it easy. Thanks for coming on, lads.
Bless.
Peace out, man. Big up you, man.
Stay safe, bro.
When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.